Thank you. Now, once Europe's busiest shopping destination, Oxford Street has been badly hit, of course, by the pandemic. Shops are shutting with around 1 in 10 boarded up, and visitor numbers are hugely down. Famed for its many department stores, some are closing and others, they're downsizing to meet a changing demand. So, has the street had its day? Helen Drew reports.
Twinkling lights, shoppers laden with bags, just as you'd expect Oxford Street to be in December. But take a closer look, and all is not well on this world-famous shopping street.
Starting at Oxford Circus, you're met by what was once Topshop's flagship store, now closed. You then get to House of Fraser, which will shut its doors for good in January. And just a couple of doors down, Debenhams, already closed. Not forgetting arguably the most famous shop on the street, Selfridges, and that's up for sale. A cool $4 billion, if you're interested.
Then there's John Lewis and Marks and Spencer, both planning to downsize retail and have more office space instead.
It will find its level. There will definitely be changes in the way we work, there will be changes in the way we come to shop and visit. But I think the great challenge for the West End is to give Londoners, and particularly that market, a reason to come back into the centre. And that's that mix of different uses beyond retail, the entertainment, the leisure. It's already happening. So, look, it's going to take a little bit of time to figure this out. But I think the centre of the capital city, and the West End in particular, is going to need that stimulus and that demand to make sure it plays a really important role in the country's recovery as well.
With foreign visitor numbers way down and many people working from home, is this the end of a big, centrally located shopping destination?
Sometimes you can't get the things you need locally. So, like, Christmas time, this is an outing. You come down to the West End and, yeah.
My daughters, they do online, but it's mostly returning. Returning is so much hassle, It's not convenient at all. By coming out and seeing is much better.
I've also heard that there's an IKEA going in where Topshop's going. So that's meant to be the new kind of shopping. Homewares, I still think people are going to want to do homeware shopping in person to see what you can buy. So I think it just might not be quite the retail that we're used to.
One vision for the future of retail is this, the Collect. New Look used to be here but closed. So while the owner of the building looks for a tenant, Westminster City Council arranged for some small, independent pop-ups to have the space for free.
To me, it means everything, really, because, having this opportunity to just be in a place like Oxford Street and have a pop-up shop is huge, I really doubt that a small business like mine would be able to afford a space like this, long term, or if at all.
Footfall is hugely down on Oxford Street. But when the Christmas lights were switched on, there was a day when it was busier than before the pandemic. A glimmer of hope for this well-known street.
Well, Rachel, what's your view? We've talked a lot about Oxford Street over the past 18 months and the devastation that's hit it with the lack of people able to visit. Do you think if it's going to bounce back now is the time, and if not, what does the future hold?
Well, look, Oxford Street will absolutely bounce back, but what that highlighted, that clip highlighted, was the importance of rethinking the future of Oxford Street as a destination. And we need to focus on much more than just the retail. So I'm delighted that you filmed in the pop-up space, because that's about using empty units to showcase some really creative new businesses. But also we need to rethink the whole area to make it a great experience to come. So the public realm, the streets, the environment, but also the hospitality, restaurants, bars, the mix, the reason why people come there. Because with online shopping, they're not going to be coming just to shop anymore. They'll want to come for the whole experience of being on Oxford Street. And that's what we're trying to achieve.
So given that you say it's time to rethink the whole area, was it a mistake a couple of years ago for the council to turn down Sadiq's plans to pedestrianise parts of Oxford Street? And should you revisit that now?
No, we've been very clear that we're not going to revisit the plans to pedestrianise the whole of Oxford Street.
Life into the area?
Well, we think that the plans that we're bringing forward will breathe life into the whole area. So, how many people realise that there are great places like the Wallace Collection, which has this amazing art collection right on the edge of Oxford Street. We need to open up all of these areas so that people will come to the area not just to shop, but also to meet friends for lunch, to be in a really pleasant pleasant place, but also to go and see a gallery, to do all sorts of other things. So it's part of the overall...
What is your objection, though, to pedestrianising that area?
The reason that we were concerned about that, there's a whole range of reasons, but one of the reasons was that what we don't want to do is to throw all of that traffic into the residential areas around it. So we need to be looking at how we can rethink the area and take forward its purpose, but without pedestrianising the whole length of it.
OK, Rushanara, what's your view? Is it time that we thought less about the West End and more about local high streets now, as that's probably where a lot of people are shopping more?
Well, look, the West End's taken a hit because of the pandemic and the reduction in tourism as well, for instance. So that's the other dimension to how we can make sure city centres get much more footfall. And, of course, there are more competitors now. You've got Westfield in Stratford, you've got the other Westfield. So people have other centres, shopping centres, that they choose to go to that are more local, especially if they are Brits as opposed to tourists. So the tourism dimension is really important. We need to do more. The government needs to provide more support and working with London to make sure London isn't neglected in the debates around levelling up. I've heard too many times ministers talk about levelling up in a way that feels like London's all paved with gold, doesn't have issues, and other parts of the countries. And it shouldn't be either or. It should be about making sure London thrives. And East London, where we're seeing a lot more retail and hospitality, and really a lot of thriving, innovative work going on in terms of retail, but also in other sectors. We've got the Olympic Village, so the West End is getting a run for its money in terms of competition. But I hope that drives up innovation, and that drives up partnership between the city mayor and colleagues like Rachel, even if they're in different parties, because we all have a vested interest in seeing London thrive. And the transport dimension is another issue. The government hasn't got a settlement on with TfL, for instance, and London Underground's going to take a hit. That's going to have a knock-on effect on our economy as well.
Yeah, I'm sure plenty more to come on TfL in the coming weeks as well. Thank you.